Now, for some reason, people believe that being toxic in a relationship is a good thing. But in my eyes, I don't think it is. Because this one toxic ex I had back in my high school years was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But before we get into that story, make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do this and also makes the channel grow to more crazy things and more crazy stories just like this one. But other than that, let's just jump straight into today's embarrassing story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to a really embarrassing video. So today's story all starts off back in my grade 10 year. Now in grade 10, I was known for, basically being the master of the devil's tango. And it got to the point where I'm not gonna lie, I actually ended up getting locked up. If you guys don't know what I mean by locked up, I mean I ended up hopping into a relationship with a girl, which I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't loyal, but that's a story for another time. Because I remember basically, I ended up hopping into a relationship with one of the girls that was a cheerleader in my high school. Now this girl, she was really well known throughout my school, and a lot of girls actually looked up to her, and me thinking that I was in a relationship with this girl, it would score me points to talk to more girls, so if we never worked out, then I could just hop to the next person. Now I will say that was a really toxic mindset I had back in high school, and no one should have it, but I will say I do not regret it. And the reason is because I remember when me and this girl first got together, things seemed to be fantastic. Like we would hang out, we would go on dates, we would do the normal couple things. But then I want to say 1 month went by and this girl started doing things that were pretty scary. Like for example, I remember one time she ended up messaging me when I was laying in bed and she texted me saying, "Where are you right now?" I'm at home. "Are you at home, Baba? Are you really at home?" "Yeah, I'm at home laying in bed." "Send me a photo right now." I remember I ended up pulling out my phone and sending a photo of me being in bed, and she ended up saying, "Baba, that doesn't look like your bed. Send me your location right now." And then finally she ended up believing that I was at home, and then she ended up saying, "Okay, so you are home. Okay, well, I'm coming over right now. I need to talk to you." I remember she ended up coming to my door literally 5 minutes later as if she was already on the way when she started texting me. And I remember I let her in down to my room, and me and her, we started talking. I ended up saying to her, "Yeah, like, what's going on?" "Baba, honestly, a lot of girls are talking about you, and I just need to make sure that, like, you stay mine." What does that mean? What? I remember at this point I was super confused on what this girl was talking about, but in a way, I guess she just wanted to, make sure that I was her. So blah, blah, blah. One thing led to another. As you guys may know, I do this a lot on this channel where I say I ended up doing the devil's tango. And that's what I did. And me thinking everything was calm and everything was good, things ended up getting more toxic. Because I remember literally the next week after, this girl walks up to me in the middle of class and literally walks up when the teacher was talking and teaching, by the way, and she comes up to me saying, "Baba, I need to talk to you right now." I remember my teacher looks over at me and her and says, can't you guys like talk about this like around lunchtime? Like we're in the middle of class right now." "No, we need to talk right now. Baba, outside now." I remember I looked at her in like a scared face and I didn't know what to say. I was embarrassed. I was shocked. I didn't know what was going on and everyone in the class was staring at me. So I remember I stood up and I ended up walking outside the classroom with her and I said, What's going on? "Baba, give me your phone right now." "Okay, sure. Why do you need my phone?" "Because you turned off your location for me." "I did?" And then afterwards, she ended up going through my phone, turning on my location for her. And on top of that, she actually ended up going through my Snapchat and started basically seeing who was messaging me and stuff. When I saw this, I instantly took my phone back and I'm like, "Yo, like, what are you doing? Like, you gotta calm down. Like, what's gotten into you? Understand this. You are mine and I will kill anyone before they end up getting to you." "Okay, that's cute, babe," is what I said right after. And then she ended up leaving for her classroom. And right as I walk in back to mine, well, the teacher was mad at me and everyone was staring at me. At this point, I didn't think it could get any worse. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought, you know what? That's it. I'm good. Little toxicity here and there can't hurt anyone. Well, this is where the story actually ends up getting really scary. And honestly, I will say this. If this ends up happening to you, please, and I mean please, get help. Because I remember 2 weeks went by and me and her were just straight up arguing about the smallest things you could ever think about. Like, for example, I remember one of our arguments we had was about how I'm not allowed to go hang out with my friends that were guys, which is the boys, but she was allowed to go out hanging out with her friends and going to parties that were happening, and she didn't want me going. I didn't know why, and at this point, to be honest, I started losing trust in her because I thought she was actually cheating on me, funny enough. But then every time I would ask any of her friends, they would all say that she's loyal and how, like, she would never go near another guy other than me. So obviously I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I remember there was this one time 2 weeks later that happened. Basically, she ended up messaging me saying that she wanted to come over and hang out with me. I said, sure, why not? She ended up coming over, and then I remember me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango once again, and I had to go to the bathroom. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I ended up getting up and going to the bathroom and, deciding to take a waz, because that's usually a normal thing to do after you bust, but only guys would know that. Girls, if you're watching this, a little too much for you guys to know, but going on. And basically, I remember when I came back, the girl I was seeing, my toxic ex, was being super, super weird. I didn't know why. I didn't know what was going on with her, so I kept asking her questions like, hey, hey, is everything all right? What's wrong? And instantly at that moment, she's like, oh, like I have to go. And she ended up basically getting up and leaving. I didn't know what was wrong with her. I didn't know what she did, but basically from there, I ended up just ignoring it and hoping that everything between me and her were finally normal. Now, this is where everything gets really awkward because I remember as days went on, me and her, every time we talked, she seemed like she had more trust in me than ever. Like every time I told her I was home playing video games or I was busy and stuff, she would always just believe it. It was like for some reason, everything in her mind just ended up going away about not trusting me until I realized why she had so much trust in me. And that was because I remember there was a day where I was at home. I was playing video games, doing my own thing. And I remember that day I ended up having family come over, and a lot of people in my family were like women at the time because I have a lot of women in my family. And basically there was a moment where I think it was my aunt who came downstairs, and she came downstairs and came into my room, and she was just talking to me and stuff about, you know, work and stuff and, you know, what life is like in schools going on. Basically, we were just catching up on stuff. And at that moment, right as she walked into my room, I instantly get a call. I ended up picking up the phone and I say, yo, like, what's going on? And it was my toxic ex that ended up basically yelling over the phone saying, who's that woman in your room right now? Who is she, Bubba? Tell me right now. I ended up looking at my aunt, and I ended up looking back at my phone, and I'm like, how do you know I have family over? She instantly decides to hang up the phone. And at this point, I was paranoid. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if she was at my house. I didn't know what in the world was happening. And at that point, I was terrified. I didn't know how she knew what was going on. I ended up basically turning off my webcam from my computer setup I had at the time. I ended up basically, you know, getting paranoid about her watching me. I ended up actually closing my window as well, just to make sure I felt somewhat out of her reach. And I remember later that day, towards the nighttime, I ended up laying down and I ended up getting another text message from my ex. She ended up saying how basically she was not like, you know, into me anymore, and how she just doesn't trust me and stuff, and how she just can't handle it. I ended up asking her why and what was going on, and then she ended up finally telling me that she ended up putting a camera in my room for the last month. At this point, I remember I ended up asking her where the camera was, and she literally put it in my bookshelf that I never touched because I don't read, and my parents decided to put it there for educational purposes. So I remember I started freaking out, and I instantly decided to basically go to my bookshelf, get the camera, and see what she's seen. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this girl literally saw everything from me beating my eggplant, getting changed, everything. I gotta say, this was the most toxic ex ever. And I remember when me and her broke up, the first thing I did to get back at her was I did the devil's tango with her best friend. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's embarrassing story. Make sure you guys press that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. I remember my girlfriend said she was busy with another friend, and I thought she was just hanging out with one of her girlfriends that she always kept texting every time we were on a date. But the time when I actually followed her and I turned the hallway corner and I saw she was with another dude, I was about to walk up to her and confront her until I saw them making out. At this moment, I realized my girlfriend lied to me. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really sad, but I gotta say, embarrassing story. Now, this story all takes place back in my grade 9 year. And in grade 9, I was a pretty simple guy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I really was just getting into my stages of becoming a player, but I was more of a hopeless romantic. So anytime I thought I had a shot with a girl, I would see myself as like the main character of a movie and kind of just think, you know what? Like, what's the best way for me to, like, you know, pull this girl in? And I remember one time my grade 9 year, I was walking down the school hallway, and out of nowhere, I ended up actually bumping into this one girl. Now, this one girl I actually bumped into, she was talked about a lot throughout the high school, and she was actually known as being one of the more pretty girls in school that, let's just say, I never thought I would have a shot with. But I remember when me and her bumped into each other, I actually ended up dropping my backpack as she ended up dropping some papers on the floor for her biology class, I guess she had. So as I'm helping her pick up all these papers, I remember she looks at me and says, oh, wait, you're Bubba, right? Yeah, hi, nice to meet you. Wait, aren't you the kid that sits in the back of language arts class? Yeah, we have a class together. It's good to meet you finally. I gotta head to science. I'll talk to you later. And when she got up and walked away, at that moment, I'm not gonna lie, I was in love. I know that sounds really insane from just me bumping into a chick, but you gotta understand, like I said earlier, I was a helpless romantic. So me, I saw this as some sort of sign from God that this girl might be the one. And in my mind, as I was walking away from her, I thought to myself, wait, she said talk to me later. When's later? Is that like, you know, tomorrow? The day after? A week after? When's later? As the school day went on, I remember language arts came around, and I ended up walking to my language arts classroom, and instantly, I ended up seeing her sitting in the front of the classroom, and as I was walking by to basically go sit in my seat that's in the back, she looks at me straight in my eyes as I was walking by and says, "Oh, Bubba, you don't have to sit back there. You want to sit beside me?" Yeah, cool, sure. And I remember when that was said, my friend that would sit in the back of class with me looks at me as if I was just like the most W guy ever. Like, he was like majorly proud of me for basically getting out of my shell, I guess, and being able to pull girls, which, to be fair, later on as years went by, he realized I was just a major player and it was gross. But going on, at this moment, he was really proud of me, and I remember I sat beside the girl that I ended up bumping into. Me and her, we sat together, we started talking, and one thing led to another. I'm not gonna lie, she ended up asking me out. It wasn't even me asking her out. She asked me out and said, "Hey, yeah, so Bubba, what are you doing after school today?" Nothing. I'm just hanging out. Why, what's up? Well, do you want to like maybe like, I don't know, go get some food together? Like, you seem like a really cool guy. Yeah, I'm down, sure. I am not joking when I say this. I was the most happiest kid that day. Like, this felt better than Christmas, my birthday, Valentine's Day, when you actually get a lover. Like, it felt really, really good. I even remember when the bell rang, I ended up walking out of the classroom and kind of did like a fist going, yes, cheering my victory. But let's just say things got a lot worse from there, because I remember after school that day, me and her, we ended up going on a date and everything went well. But I'm not gonna lie, every time I would like try to talk to her or have a conversation with her, she was always on her phone messaging another person. Now, this moment, I got a little off and I'm like, okay, like, who is she texting? Like, why is this girl texting someone else in the middle of our date? Usually during a date, I don't like have my phone out at all. If anything, sometimes I fully shut it off or put it on do not disturb, just because I want to, you know, actually get to know the person that I'm with and basically stay off technology, since it's literally consumed our lives. But I remember during the date, it got to the point where I looked at her and said, "So, who are you texting right now?" "Oh, I'm just texting one of my girls. She's just going through a midlife crisis, so I just have to deal with it." "You have to deal with it?" "Well, yeah, I'm always there for my friends for whatever they need." "Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I mean, that's good. You're being a good friend." "Yeah, like, you gotta understand, like, when it comes to friends, I'm always there for them and I would never lie to them." "Huh. Okay, cool." Now, this moment, I thought this was like a really good green flag, but then later on in the story, you'll see why things got a lot worse. Because I remember when I got home that day after the date, I remember I ended up hopping on my Xbox and started playing games with the boys. I ended up hopping into an Xbox Live party chat, and all of us started talking about our day and stuff. And I ended up mentioning my date that I had with this girl. At the moment, all my friends were like, "Wait, you went on a date, bro? Wait, how'd it go? What happened?" "Oh, you know, just me and her. We went out to get some food. It was pretty good, but she was always on her phone. I don't know why." At that moment, I remember one of the guys in the Xbox party chat ended up saying something that made me really think, but he ended up saying, "Wait, what do you mean she was always on her phone? What was she doing?" "Oh, I don't know. She was just texting one of her friends, I guess." "Wait, Bubba, what was this girl's name?" When I said the name of the girl, I remember my friend, he ended up screaming into the mic going, "Oh, wait a second. Bro, Bubba, don't go out with her. Don't do it." "What? Why?" "Bro, you do understand. She's like a massive player, right?" "What do you mean a massive player?" "Bubba, you know like how many dudes she talks to, bro? Like, she talks to a lot of dudes, bro. She was not talking to one of the girlfriends." "I don't know, bro. She told me it was one of the girlfriends, and to be honest, she doesn't seem like someone that would lie." "Bubba, I don't think you know what you're talking about, bro. Trust me, bro. You don't want to date this girl." At that moment, I remember I ended up turning off my Xbox. I just got really annoyed and pretty pissed off, because I thought, you know, why would this girl want to hurt me? She didn't seem like someone that would lie to me. She even said herself she's not a liar. Until the next day at school, I realized she was lying. And what ended up happening next really actually just made me realize that all girls are the same and that Juice WRLD was right. I remember the next day at school, in the morning, I ended up entering the school hallway and I saw her at her locker. So what I decided to do is walk up to her and say, "Hey, I had a really good date yesterday. Do you want to like maybe hang out at lunch?" "Oh, I mean, yeah, we can. I just have to deal with one of my girlfriends, you know, like the one's having a midlife crisis. I just have to go see her real quick, and then afterwards, I'll meet up with you. Is that cool?" Yeah, sure. I don't mind." So I ended up walking away from her, and at that moment, I had a weird feeling in my stomach. You know that feeling in your stomach where you feel like something's about to go wrong and something's just not right? That's the exact feeling I had, and I didn't want to think too much of it, but at the same time, as a helpless romantic, I always end up doing the most dumbest things I could think of. Let's be real here. Hell, that's what this channel is fully for. Just all the dumb things I've done. But this one thing I ended up doing made me feel really interesting, because I remember when lunch came around and I was waiting for her by the cafeteria, I ended up basically standing there just kind of waiting for her, and I want to say 10 minutes went by and one of my friends ended up walking up to me. He walked up to me saying, "Yo, Bubba, what are you doing, bro? All the guys are waiting at the table." "Yeah, I know. I'm just waiting for my date." "You have a date at lunchtime?" "Yeah, with the girl I told you guys about yesterday on Xbox." "Wait, Bubba, are you sure like she's gonna actually show up? Because I saw her talking to some dude down the hallway not that long ago." And trust me when I say this, bro, they didn't look like they were just talking as friends. At that moment, I got worried and I decided to basically go to the hallway he talked about. And right as I turned into the hallway, I saw her there sitting with some dude. So I thought, okay, maybe this was like, you know, an inconvenience, you know? So I ended up texting her on her phone while I was directly staring at her saying, hey, like, I'm waiting by the cafeteria. When are you gonna show up? Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm just talking to one of my girlfriends right now. He's just going through a lot. Just give me a second. And then I ended up looking at her and I saw that she was lying to me. And right as I was about to go up to her and confront her that she was lying to me, out of nowhere, this dude and her just start making out right in front of me. I remember I froze in place, not knowing what in the world was going on. I was confused. I was really hurt. I was honestly really upset. And right as they stopped kissing, I remember this girl ends up looking down the hallway and she saw me at the end of the hallway basically staring at her. She knew she messed up. Me and her, we ended up locking eyes for like a good like 5 seconds. And at that moment, I just ended up walking away. I walked away. I ran straight to the bathroom and I just sat in the bathroom stall knowing that she lied to me. And to be honest, me in grade 9, like I said, I was a helpless romantic. So seeing that really just hurt. But at the same time, I don't know. In a way, I guess she was just part of my origin story for becoming the biggest player at school. But at the same time though, if girls ever lied to you, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.